Okay, let's start this meeting with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think I'm first, right?
School Board Appreciation.
School Board
You?
Appreciation. All right. That's you guys. Some people are not remembering their cues.
The presentation, not a row, correct?
Correct.
Just checking.
Okay. You just want to go to be part of the group. All right. Folks, January is School Board Appreciation Month, and we appreciate all the work that you do and all the time that you give. We really do believe that you are such an important part of everything that takes place in the district. And to show a little bit of our appreciation, our medals shop has made a little gift for you.
Oh,
wow.
Who's that?
I thought it was D for Danny, but apparently it's
Aw.
it's not.
They didn't spell it right, but it looks like.
That is awesome. Thank you.
I love that. Wow, sir.
And it doesn't say we are GP on it anywhere, Gary.
That's it.
Extra letters.
You have
Aw.
also a gift from the leadership class in the bag, I believe, and a gift from the students at Newbridge. So,
They gave us cigars.
all right.
Did she say? That's very nice. First one is good.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, thank you very
so
much.
Very well.
That makes it all worth it.
Good working.
Pins?
Thank you.
Pens are from
Newbridge.
Newbridge students.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, GP on.
Last year when I was there.
Moving on to communications and presentations. Are there any requests from people wishing to speak? No. Any questions on the full faith and credit project report? Yes. This is your time.
I know.
Tommy,
Where's Sam?
Tommy and Sam. Yes, okay.
is that one right there.
We just doing full face and financial.
We're doing full faith.
Full faith right now.
Okay.
Never mind.
Where is the financial report?
Well,
That looks like gives it your chance.
no, financial reports in 5.3.
Okay. So now.
Yep.
Who's on first night?
Okay.
Okay. Any questions about the enrollment report? Moving on to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda may be approved by a single motion.
Member Schmidt moves that we accept the consent agenda.
Member Brownell seconds.
So I have some discussion. I'd actually like to remove 8.2.4. I had some questions about the family medical leave policy that do some the Christmas break and stuff. I didn't get those answered before this meeting, and I'd like to have another meeting before we approve that policy.
That's on me. You sent the email, said don't answer this till Monday, and I didn't answer it at all. Apparently, so I apologize.
Indicate what.
Is there any
Yeah, what
impact to waiting?
What's that?
Is there any impact to waiting? No.
No.
Sounds good to me. So
Yeah,
we
but
change
have
the
a
change the motion?
Should vote it down.
Pardon me?
No.
Amend it.
Amend your motion, okay?
I move that we amend Joe's motion to table 8.2.4 policy, family medical leave.
I will amend my second
And
or
second.
rescind my second or whatever. You.
There you go.
decide is
We've
the right-
amended the motion. To set the consent agenda with minus 8.2.4.
If you need it, remember Dib Dahl will second.
Is there any discussion about that?
Do we need to make the motion again with this statement in there? Okay, we're good.
Make this harder.
Come on, yeah.
Yes.
It's hard.
Member Smith,
Yes.
Member Dipdahl.
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Member Brownell,
Yes,
Member Richardson,
Yes, yes.
Did I vote did I vote for me? Yes.
Just stop it.
Okay.
Consent agenda.
So did we do the consent agenda?
We did.
Wait a minute, okay. Moving on, reports, Highland Elementary DARE program.
Good evening, everybody. Want to share with you a little bit about our DARE program. This year, all fifth grades in E7 are going to have a DARE program. It's probably even a year ago, we started having some talks about this would be something to bring back to the district and potentially bring back down to elementary level. And it just so happened that my armed escort tonight did some training he's gonna talk about and was ready to come back and do some teaching. So kind of keep things moving here. So we have the DARE curriculum for you. It's not as much of a forward gift as the other things you receive, but it might be some light reading for you. But one thing to notice in the table of contents the students get is there's a lot more going on now than just drug and alcohol awareness. Of course, that's a huge part, but you see communication, and you see bullying, and you see my help network, and what does it mean to have a network of people I can go to for help. So there's a lot of things baked into this that work in tandem with our second step social emotional learning curriculum as well. So this program, one of the overarching things that we do with the kids, that Officer Frankfelter does with the kids, is this DARE model for decision making: define, assess, respond, and evaluate. And so you can see even the scenario up there. That's not necessarily right away a drug and alcohol scenario, but it's something kids can attach to, and they can start going through this process of what's the problem, how do I assess the problem, how do I respond, how do I evaluate the choices of how I responded to that. Just a couple of pages just to show what it looks like in the student handbook about alcohol and tobacco. So this is the alcohol use. Is that one lesson or is that two? Alcohol and tobacco? One lesson together. Okay, and the tobacco. So that's some of the things that Officer Frankfelter is working through with the kids as they're going. Here's a lesson about making safe and responsible choices, and you can kind of see where here's a situation, define, assess, but the thing that stood out to me about this is making safe and responsible choices. We're all PBIS schools, and on our walls in the gym, it says, be safe, be respectful, be responsible, be kind. I say it every day. It's the last thing I say on our morning announcements, that the kids hear it everywhere they go. And right here is another link to that about what does it mean to make a safe choice? What does it mean to make a responsible choice when given the opportunity? This is a page just again to demonstrate. This one has to do with some resistance strategies about some things. Now this is diving more specifically into the if somebody offers you a cigarette, what are some choices? What are some out pitches you have to remove yourself from that situation? Here's a part about responding to pressure. Same kind of deal. There's situations. All right, let's apply this. How do I define the problem? How do I assess the problem? How am I going to respond to the problem? And again, right here, these are not necessarily drug and alcohol related. It's made to get kids thinking to sort of take prior knowledge, something we can attach to, something my brain kind of gets, okay, I understand this. And then move into what would that look like if it was a situation with drug and alcohol. Here is a place where it starts to get away and it's talking about stress. What does it mean to be stressed? What are some possible ways to relieve stressful feelings? I wasn't in that lesson, but I'm assuming it talks about how some people use drugs and alcohol to relieve stress. So, let's say communication styles. So how do I be a confident, how do I communicate confidently, excuse me? And again, we have situations of different kinds of things. I know the kids did skits and they acted out in front of each other, different scenarios, and that all worked out pretty great. Communicating effectively. Again, here's another scenario. It's kind of all scenario based and getting kids to really apply this way of thinking about different scenarios. Then it does a bullying lesson, which is great. It reinforced right over the top of our Second Steps bullying unit that we all do, all the elementary schools do in October. And so again, it was a nice reinforcement about what is bullying, what do I do about bullying, who do I talk to, what do I, what are the steps there? And then the last part I wanted to share with you, just to highlight, is this piece about needing help and having kids start thinking about what's my help network? Who can I go to? Who are my trusted people that if I need help with something that, and having the kids reflect in their own way about who are the people around me that are safe, trusted people I can go to get help if I need be. So here's one picture. This is how it worked for Highland. We took all of our fifth graders in the gym and the students would pick up their materials on the way in and we just kind of spread them on the gym floor. And Sprintville used all of the technology in there to teach. It gave him a lot of ways to kind of walk around and he doesn't stand still very well. So surprise, huh? So I was going to let you talk a little bit more about your experiences teaching and
Yeah.
there you go.
So when the idea got broached to me about delivering DARE to the schools, I began thinking about how can we do that? How is that possible? What I didn't realize is that DARE school, it is a specific school, this school was going to be in Salt Lake City and it was 2 weeks long. And so I had to go there to Salt Lake City, go through that, sit through that class. And honestly, there's a classroom full of veteran cops and they teach you like your fifth graders, which is super weird because they want you to raise your hand. They want this quiet thing going on. That you have to have this lion that everybody shares. And you have to, if your team wins it that day, you have to carry that thing. If you're going to go to a movie that night after class or whatever, you have to take that lion with you. I did not want to win the lion, so I didn't. Because I mean, it's a stuffed animal, but nevertheless, it was pretty thorough. And so when we come back, last school year, the 23-24 school year, we tried it in the 7th grade at South and at North, and it worked okay. However, it still felt like we were a little bit behind the curve because the idea was getting these guys, they already knew the stuff. They already knew, they didn't have full knowledge of what drugs would do to you and all the drugs and what alcohol and all that stuff would do. However, they had a good knowledge because they're all about the chap snap, the talk tick and the whatnot, right? So what we did is I thought, what if we went a little bit younger? We can start at the elementary level and we can get these guys when they're still at their moldable phase. And so I thought of an idea of trying to get all the elementary schools. So that would include the 6 schools that we have. How do we get them all done? And I came up with an idea that it seemed to have worked the last the last part of 24. And so far it's working fairly well in 23. I mean, in 25. What year are we in? We're going forward, right? So that was the idea of doing it, coming up with it. How do I get to know these guys? And what's kind of cool is that you go through this. I went through the class here. We finished it up. And then we all went back to our regular scheduled programming. Well, I had gone back to the school for whatever reason. I had gone back to the school, and one of the 5th grade classes they were in the cafeteria doing another type of class, and they saw me and they could not maintain what they had to do with their current teacher. And they were just like, oh yeah, Officer Brandfelder's here. Not because I'm cool or anything like that. I promise you, has nothing to do with that. Just because I developed a relationship with them. And doing that, those kids, they see me, they know me, I know them, and there's a back and forth that we're actually able to have. And so somebody asked me, do you think it's working? Well, I don't think any of the kids have done drugs since we started the program. So I think, will it work? Is there any way of knowing that all the kids at Lincoln, all the kids at Parkside are not going to do drugs ever in their life? They're never going to drink, they're never going to smoke. I can't say that. We don't know that. But at least they have a knowledge of it. See what happened, I'll tell you a story of an anecdote that I read. There's this group, and they had this group of kids that it was kind of a Boys and Girls Club type situation, YMCA, but it was an after school program. And they had all these kids in this room, and they had all their parents kind of lined up against the back wall. And the facilitator started asking the kids, who is your hero? And the kids started saying, oh, LeBron James, or whatever sports star, or whatever, music star, whatever. And these kids started naming off all these people. And then one kid said, oh, Ninja's my hero. And so every other kid is like, oh yeah, Ninja. Do you guys know who Ninja is? Nobody? Okay, one person. You have kids that are pretty young. I know it. Because Ninja's a Fortnite guy. Nobody really knows or cares. But the kids, that was their hero. And so they're like, yeah, Ninja's my hero. So what the facilitators did, they said, okay, here's what we're going to do. They broke out the definition of a hero. And they said, this is what a hero is. They read it from the dictionary, and they gave them the knowledge of what a hero was. All of a sudden, they said, now do you guys still think Ninja, LeBron James, these people are your heroes? The kids stopped and thought for a second. And knowing kids, there's a good chance that one said it and they all try to follow suit. However, it was genuine when they started saying, no, my mom's my hero. And another one would say, no, my mom's my hero too. And they all started saying their mom or their dad were their hero. What changed their mind? The fact that they had knowledge, they had an education, they were given something they didn't have before. They were able to define this. Are we saying that they're never going to do drugs? Probably not. I don't know. I would hope not. However, they are armed with more knowledge now to be able to make a good decision. And like what Nevin was saying, that whole idea of taking this stuff and being able to remember how to define, assess, respond, and evaluate, how to make a decision, how to go about doing the things that they know to do. They know what's right. It's totally up to them to make their decision. It's their choice. And this is what we're teaching them anyways, is how to go out and make choices. What college are you going to go to? What are you going to do after school? What do you want to do when you grow up? That whole idea, that's their choice, it's their decision. How do we get them to do it appropriately and still be good? And in the process, develop relationships. And with me coming in and any police officer for that matter, coming in, talking with them, developing that relationship, it makes the difference because we have one shot. We have one shot with these guys. One more story before I finish up. There was this little girl, she was with her dad and they were sitting on the beach. And she was just enamored with the sun going down. She's watching the sun go down. And she thought it was the most beautiful thing in the world. She starts watching and dad's just looking at her face and he's looking at her face, looking at the sun set. The sun goes down and finally the sun gets down over the horizon and gets down past the water. And she looks up at her dad and says, Daddy, do it again, do it again. And he goes, I can't. We only get that one time. We only have one shot. So this is our shot. We have a shot. We should take it. And so far, these guys they're soaking it up. I've done so far this for 2025. I have done Riverside and Allendale and Redwood, and those kids they're great and they're totally interested. First off, they're like, I don't know. They're still a little bit trepidatious because it's a police officer talking to them. However, today was our second day at Riverside. Tomorrow I'll be at Allendale again. And it's getting a little more, they're having a back and forth conversation, which is actually pretty cool. So this is what DARE's doing right now.
So I added, maybe I added. Oh, I got stuck. A couple that talking to students and just some of the feedback we got from them, some of their favorite things that they liked, and there were some comments about. You know, a student who told me, I really like that we could talk about this. I have questions. And this gave me a way to talk about it. One student said, I like the can thing. Well, every lesson, every week, he would bring a can for questions. And say, put them in there next week. First thing we'll do, we'll answer the questions. Then he could filter out the maybe not as great questions. Really gave kids some buy-in for asking things that were on their mind.
And any question, they asked me what my favorite Ninja Turtle was, or what my favorite food
Who is
was.
your favorite Ninja Turtle?
Michelangelo,
Of course.
everybody else.
Okay,
So, but that's the idea.
yeah.
They can
and
ask any question.
They remember this, doing the skits, they remember the feeling of that, and I thought, one of the things that stood out to me. And again, it's not because of the natural rock star status, but one of the students, the last thing we'll say for questions was, what was your favorite thing? Officer Fraunfelter was my favorite thing. And the more I thought about that, I'm like, okay. He has connected with every fifth grader in the district, which means next year, every sixth grader knows him. So when he goes to a school and there's a vape pen problem, or there's a relational capacity is already established, right? We already know this guy. We loved him. He made us laugh. He taught us some things. He already knows what he's taught. Like the groundwork is laid. The next year, now it's all the sixth and seventh graders. The next year, it's the sixth and seventh and eighth graders. And I just can't see how a program like this, as minimal as the impact is financially as and time and what it takes to do this, can't pay forward for the benefit of our kids. So that's DARE at Highland, and love any questions if you have them.
Yeah, this is a passion of mine for lots of different reasons. And I think DARE has shown itself over the years to be certainly an effective program. And what you're explaining is the how.
Mhm.
Okay. And my question to you is, are these kids given the why? And what I mean by that is, we live in a society, and we live in a state for that matter, that in many ways promotes the use of drugs through legislation. There's been a tremendous amount of research done on marijuana, as we know, and how marijuana has changed since the 1970s. And a dangerous drug has become, and its impact on adolescence, not so much the impact on the fully developed mind, but on the developing brain. There's conversations about psilocybin and making psilocybin legal. And I don't think I don't think you can be too young to share with the kids why. Physiologically, emotionally, socially, why these are dangerous subjects or substances for them to be involved in. So my question is, are they getting it? Are they getting that information with the research-based, not what was the movie that was done in the 1960s? Oh God, I can't remember what it was, where the guy would smoke marijuana, he looked in the mirror and he turned into a monster, you know, which everybody knew that isn't what happened.
Right.
But I mean, it was nutty stuff. But I mean, research-based information, and I think fifth graders personally are young enough or old enough to understand what that means. That's one way, or bringing in an addict and let an addict talk about how they started and what happened to them.
Right. What I do is I'll take that step, right? When we talk about obviously what things are going to do to you physically. In the book, there's a page where they actually have lines. They got to say, like a line goes right to the brain. What's going to affect that? Drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, whatever. And they get to write down what they think is going to affect. So we understand what's going to physically is going to have a physiological effect. We talk about the people that we see. It's no secret the kind of people we have in our town and in our county. It's no secret what we have just floating around, walking around, and they see that and they know that and they tell me, So the physiological side is there. We start seeing that when we tell people, hey, this is going to stop you from being able to maybe be able to do your tests or finish school or whatever the case is. But then the bigger question is like what you said is why are we doing, why should they not do drugs? Why should they not drink? Why should they not do these things to excess? And I go off of the idea of the whole reason why we shouldn't. What do they want to do when they grow up? And I'll ask almost every single one of them, what do you want to do when you grow up? And there's some that have zero idea. And when I was teaching the 7th graders, some of them had zero idea what they wanted to do when they grew up. So then you have to kind of plant that seed that they should be thinking about it, because even in 7th grade, they've got about 10, 12 years till they're doing that thing. So it's not so different for 5th graders. They've got about 10, 15 years until they're doing that thing once they graduate college or whatever, and they're trying to start the world. But beyond how to monetarily set yourself up financially, what do you want to do? How do you see yourself as not being, or how do you see yourself as having and adding value to the world that you live in? Because we tell all these kids that you're valuable, you're special, and you have a place in this world, which they absolutely do. How do we get them to know this and then realize that drugs, alcohol, all this different stuff is going to stop you from becoming that thing that you want to be or that you can be? Because we talk about all these things that they have the opportunity to be. They can be anything that they want to try to go become. But if they do this stuff, it's going to stop them from doing that. It's going to be an absolute wall that's going to stop them. And so I hammer that in. I talk about that almost every single class, that your value as a human, beyond just a little kid, because they're still in this world where I'm just a kid and I wait for what my parents tell me to do, what my teacher tells me to do. But they're human, and that they will be running the world one day. And that's the same thing for all you guys against the wall. You guys will be doing that. And you have to know that your value will be diminished. It'll be extinguished if you introduce this stuff. If you stop yourself, if you halt your body's ability to produce and grow and then become something more. And so I push that every day because there's so much value, but we have to remember why we're here in the first place, and that's for other people. And I try to push that and explain that every time we talk and every time we have class.
So they are given the specifics is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and no bones about it, because I talked about actually last week. I said we're going to talk about cocaine, and we're going to talk about drugs, and we're going to talk about heroin, and they're like, why are we talking about that? And one kid was upset, like, you can't say that stuff. No, we have to say that stuff. If we don't talk about that, we don't get that into where they understand that that's bad. They're going to think that it's possible, and we don't want to give them that opportunity to see that as a possible.
Well, I know this kind of stuff. This is in a school I had a very well-known person who was well known for their pot use nationally, internationally, and the children had to go through the process. Their children had to go through the process, and they didn't want to go through the process. And my response was, of course, it was an independent school. Well, if you don't want to go through the process, then you're in the wrong school. Okay, because they didn't want the value conflict between the parent and the child.
Mm.
And the same kind of value conflict that I see here, for example, you have a government with a value and you have a school with a different value. How do you argue that? You know, how do you get through that? That's going to be more with the older kids probably, but how do you get through that?
Well, we still see
But the good news was the 2 kids of this person never used. Okay. Still had a great relationship with their dad, but never used, and still don't.
That's why we just got to give them tools to make their decisions and not disparage them for decisions somebody else has made. But absolutely, because we know parents are different than kids, and a lot of these kids come from families. I mean, we live in Josephine County, for crying out loud. We know exactly what happens here. This is no joke. When I was part of the drug court back in 2019, I'd gone to national conferences, and we found out that Josephine County produced 33% of the nation's marijuana crop. So we know what comes out of here, and we know what kind of people have our children. But the idea is that and I tell them, you do not have to be who your parents are. You don't have to be who somebody tells you to be.
Okay, that's my question.
Yes, they get to be who they choose to be, and that's their choice. And I try to encourage that throughout the whole time.
The government says.
Correct.
I just want to say thank you. I'm super excited about this. Are you interacting with any other districts? I know that, like District 6, I think, has been doing this for a while now. I've talked to one of their SROs over there. You get to interact with other districts?
Yeah, actually, so we have, actually tomorrow we have a regional SRO breakfast that we go to. And so all the SROs in the region from Southern Oregon get together. Not only that, I was actually at my DARE school with a couple of Central Point.
Okay.
I think Central Point and Medford, but I think just Central Point officers who were also taking that class. So we talked about if we have like, hey, I forget this, or what do we do on that on lesson 7 or whatever, we can collaborate on that and see what the other people are doing and stuff like that. But for the most part, there's no need to go beyond the awesomeness of District 7. It's just,
I just look at that as a resource, right? Having
Yes,
a conversation
absolutely.
Between people that have done it before, and then also just how things are working. And then
Yeah.
the other thing I was gonna say that I think this was kind of circling, I just didn't hear it out loud, but I think it also is a chance to break the mentality that police are bad and scary, right? Like they're cops or whatever bad terms might be used, but you're a police officer and that this is somebody I've come to talk to about things.
correct.
I think that's a huge value add to a program like this.
Yeah.
For a community where apparently 33% of the marijuana comes from.
Right.
So that's great.
We with that can that Nevin was talking about, at other schools, they make a shoebox or whatever it is, right? And they put questions in there. Like I said, favorite Ninja Turtle, favorite dog, what's your dog's name, blah, blah, blah. But there's also, they can store a question in there. Hey, I need to talk to you about it. I have a serious problem that I need to know. And they can write their name on it. Normally, all other questions are anonymous. But if there's a serious issue and I tell them, write your name on it, we can talk about it. We can go get that, do it with their teacher. We can talk with their principal, whoever their safe person is that they want to talk with. I'm willing to talk with them. And then we go over that. But that option is there, so they don't have to be embarrassed and take time out. And so it looks like they're being called to the office, but in fact, it is at their request, sort of thing.
Again, thank you.
Yep.
That's
Right, thank
great.
you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
I just need to make one comment, I guess. We just have to be careful when we see something that we think is good. And we're pushing it lower and lower into our grades. That there is a point there where they just don't have the capacity to understand. And we could actually be doing harm instead of good. So just putting a little bit of make sure we're not doing any harm as we're expanding it. Don't just focus on the anecdotal stories of the good things. Make sure we're not creating some stories that nobody's hearing about. So you just have to be very age appropriate when you're doing some of this stuff. So just a caution.
So they can't serve peas. No peas. 5.2, Avid student update.
Yeah, while our presenters make their way around to the podium, part of our strategic plan in the academic growth of your goal, as well as the career-related learning, Avid implementation expanding at K-12 is listed. And so we just want to keep making sure that the board knows about what we do in Avid. And so Pam McNulty is the site coordinator at Grants Pass High School, as well as the instructional coach, and she has brought 2 of our Avid seniors. Where'd the clicker go?
It's not this, is it? No, it's not.
the clicker.
Nevin.
Oh, wait, it's here, it's here.
Okay.
Let's
clicker.
see, okay. You almost got him.
A little bit about, we got it in D7 in 10 minutes or less.
Okay, as you said, I'm Pam McNulty. I get the cool job of being the site coordinator at Grants Pass High School for our Avid program.
I'm Morgan McCaw. I'm a senior and I've been doing Avid since 7th grade.
I'm Destiny Ortiz and I'm a senior as well, and I've been doing Avid for about 4 years.
So these guys are on path for graduation this year, almost halfway through the senior year. Just kind of a quick piece here. We really wanted to focus on what does Avid do for our students? So when we look at Avid, we have this lovely like college and career framework. We've got all these pieces to it. The part we want to focus on with our quick chat tonight is really that top part of that triangle. So really looking at these pieces of opportunity knowledge, student agency, and rigorous academic preparedness. Because we know that that's what our students need in order to be successful after they leave the high school, whether they're going into a 4-year college or they're headed career route or they want to do trade school or any of those other like myriad of options that they have. So I'm getting old, so I can't see things quite as well as I used to. So opportunity knowledge is when students research opportunities, they set goals, they make choices that support their long-term aspirations and successfully navigate transitions to the next level. So I asked these guys to come tonight to share just some anecdotes from their experience, either in the Avid elective or at Grants Pass High School, just in general. And I did not coach them. I did not prep them. I have no idea what they are going to share with you, but I trust them as individuals. And so it's how they've interpreted really like this definition of opportunity knowledge and student agency to share with you like what they themselves have experienced as students. So whoever would like to speak first.
So through Avid, I wasn't sure really when I was going into high school where I wanted to go to college or what exactly I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to work in the medical field, but I wasn't certain what I wanted to do. But when it came to colleges, I think something that helped me like know where I wanted to go is we did some college field trips and getting exposed to the campuses that we've been to, like OSU. We went there my freshman year. And actually getting to have one-on-one conversations with college mentors there and getting to figure out what it's like in the college life. It was one of the things that helped me expose myself to what I wanted to do. And then also having those 4-year relationship with the same teacher. She has guided us and helped us in ways that we can't really talk to other teachers since you don't have that many years to build a bond with them. So
Through Avid, it's a lot of exposure, like piggybacking off what Morgan said. Through Avid, I've gotten more opportunities to be exposed to what it would be like to be an adult and to that next step after high school and even college. We're built off, we do a lot of like projects and we travel to campuses and we get to just basically explore those details that I wouldn't get in like a normal class or like within high school. I've learned more in Avid, the elective itself than I have in my 4 years that I've been in high school. I've learned more in a class period with the same teacher, and we get the same group of kids usually to piggyback and like just get to know each other to build those relationships and create smart goals that will impact our life and realize this is attainable. This is how I'm going to do it. And
And that opportunity knowledge is really cool to also see as we move Avid K-12 in the district. And I have a daughter at elementary, and watching her have career day and show up dressed up like the cowboy country superstar that she wants to be, because in 4th grade, that's what every girl should do. But to see that at elementary schools and all the opportunities at the middle schools as well, like as a district, as we focus on this opportunity knowledge, it's just so incredibly powerful and impactful for our students, and it exposes them to what's possible when maybe that's not necessarily in their realm right now. So that's the opportunity knowledge. We're going to look at the student agency piece here. So the explanation of student agency is where students believe in themselves and act intentionally to build relationships, persist through obstacles, and activate their academic, social, emotional, and professional knowledge and skills to reach their potential.
Another thing with having the same teacher for 4 years, you're also having usually the same students unless they leave the class, unfortunately. But being with those same people throughout your 4 years of high school, you really get to build a family to go to when you go to school. And you can rely on each other and trust each other and talk to them about anything or have study buddies. But through Avid, I also learned to actually talk to my teachers if I need help with anything, because before Avid, I did not like talking to my teachers. If I got a bad grade, I'm like, okay, I guess that's it. So it really helped me build relationships with teachers and students and being able to speak with other people.
I would say through Avid, like communication is like a big part of it is you need to be able to communicate and advocate for yourself. And Avid's really taught me that because before Avid, I was more of like that shut down and quiet kid. Because I didn't know how to express that or how to build relationships, even though we have like health and all these classes to help build off that. I didn't know how until I met my Avid teacher and she got in the groove where it was like, you guys, this is what it's about, and just basically again advocating and like how to do that. And Avid intentionally shows you that how to be an adult basically to go into that.
So we know that student agency is incredibly important, and there's a lot of, I've walked into Mrs. Richardson's class, and there's a lot of coaching that's happening in that classroom with like, you gotta talk to your teacher, and this is how that conversation might look, where they're practicing some of those pieces. So really like setting them up that when they go out into the real world, like they have that incredibly important skill of agency. I did not ask them to talk to you guys about rigorous academic preparedness. I feel like that's kind of a piece we talk about quite a bit, and we spend a lot of time, and we are developing classes to increase the rigor at the school and provide even more rigorous opportunities for our students. But just this idea that they are prepared academically for life after high school. Another piece that's really important about Avid is like, it's not just the elective. We are a district that is an Avid district, and so it is across the board. And so we see all of these pieces throughout all of our schools. At the high school, sometimes it's fun to look at data. I used to think that data was weird and then we're not really that cool. And then as I've gotten older and further into education, I'm like, it's kind of fascinating actually. So I just pulled some data pieces, and I think it's not necessarily say like that our Avid students are better, because when I think when we look at the data for our GPHS students at large, I think we should be proud of this like weighted cumulative GPA of our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. That's a fantastic cumulative GPA. And when we look at our Avid elective students, it's a little bit higher, and that's fantastic. And when we look at how many of them, when we have half of our freshmen in Avid taking it either an AP or an advanced course, challenging themselves with rigor, it's awesome to see. I can't give you a cumulative GPA piece on there, just FYI, because there is no final grades for freshmen yet. They've got about 3 more days to kick it in for us. So we have some fantastic things happening school-wide, and we have some fantastic things happening within our Avid electives as well. So thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to come and chat with you. If you have any questions. Yes, Joe.
You two are both in your last 5 months of school, and you've been through this program, and you've learned about making decisions and where you wanted, what you want to do and what you want to be. What are you going to do next year?
I'm hoping to go into a 4-year university, hopefully at OSU, to start a nursing program so I can become a pediatric nurse practitioner.
What school are you thinking about?
Oregon State.
Okay, how about you?
I'm planning on attending Western Oregon to study education and going into primary, which is
That's all the elementary principals just choose.
That's great. I think I've had the opportunity to spend some time with some Avid folks, kids and adults involved, and I think it's a great program. What a leg up. That's terrific. Good for you.
Where'd you guys go to elementary school again?
Okay, well, thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
guys.
5.3, I found your financial report.
But wait, now we have to know what elementary school all the Avid kids went to.
All the elementary schools.
Good evening, everybody. See if I can work this slide. I have to say, Officer Fraunfelter, well done again. He's always very good. I enjoy him. And Era, dinner, well done, as usual. Financial for December, halfway through the year. Can probably make some, there's a good set of an info there to make some analysis. More than we could in previous months, I think. I think that I'm gonna skip to the homepage, except it's not a little too big, thank you. That's better, yeah, thank you. Oh, I'm the one who's doing it. Expenses overall, we're trending for some savings. There are still some outstanding things that we still kind of have to wait and see because we may be buying them at different times of the year this year than we did last year. But I think through 6 months, we're showing that we're on the right path. Without it getting into the nitty gritty, our salaries are on track. I think our savings mostly is coming from material, supplies and materials. If just trying to go to the next one. I have written down here already, practice with the clicker, but
Nothing to worry about.
you want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, Aaron, can you go to the next slide? Thank you so much. Here's the one we're gonna end up in with most of the important information. I think that the first thing, we just got our final audit results. As a result of that, we gained $355,000 in our ending fund balance for last year, which we were bringing forward to started a new beginning fund balance, obviously, which has a very positive effect on this year. In addition, well, what I'll say, part of the result of the savings we just discussed and the increased beginning fund balance, we're showing projecting toward a much higher ending fund balance for this year from what we budgeted at 6.38%, looking at about 10. Again, a little bit early, but I think we certainly want to be trending in that direction than the other direction. And as a result of that, it actually reduces what our deficit spending number is. And budget wise, we were going to deficit spend by just 5.5 million, 5.6. And based on the projections through with December's actuals and through the end of the year, we're going to reduce, it's reducing down to 3.9. So 1.6 million less in deficit spending, which is one of our main goals, not necessarily for this year, but we're on the right track so that we're prepared for next year too. So I think those are the key. The only other thing there, I always put in there about local, the property tax and how that's related to the state school fund. We are trending higher in local revenue, which is on a previous page, but just remember that they're going to take that away from us. Not this May, but the following May, there'll be a correction and all it is we get it's going to be the same in the end, but we're going to get more money this year. But we're going to have to give some of it back May of next year. Still early to see because that property taxes really fluctuate throughout the year. So that could change back to where we had expected it to be. Any questions on the December financial? Yes, sir.
So on our actual projected for the year, you're showing 800,000 additional-ish.
You are looking at the expenditures.
Revenue.
Where are we at here? Oh. Revenue budget, first revenue projected,
Yes,
okay,
78,000,000, 78.1 versus 77.3.
right. So,
So-
so part of that is that additional property tax that we're getting. An additional part of that is that we budgeted for a certain amount on the state school fund, and we're actually, when recalculated, at some point after the budget was presented, we gained about 200,000 more that we're going to get. So that's the half of what that is.
Okay, so you said 200,000, I leave 600,000. That's excess property tax revenue.
Excess property tax revenue is probably more in the 250 range. Other local, as far as a line item for revenue, local is not just property tax. It's a bunch of other things, interest. Which we're trending above. It has to do with miscellaneous revenue, things other than state school fund, federal. So there's lots of things rolled into local that makes that particular section of the revenue higher.
Okay, so 250,000 of that larger number we expect we're gonna have to give back because of the way Oregon funds.
Yeah, if it stays that way through the end of the year. Last year, we had a correction at the end of the year and it brought it back to normal. Could be the same, but it just depends on what they collect, what the county collects, so.
So then on the expense side, just for this year, we're showing 900,000 less for actual projected.
900,000 lower than our budget, right?
And
Many line items that make up that, but I mentioned materials and supplies is down quite a bit. Some software things that we budgeted for. That's showing going to be a great savings. I mean, there's probably 20 lines that make that up at least, but those are some of the more significant ones.
okay,
And I can certainly give you more detail. I just don't have the line item, each line item here, so.
Great deal on a bus.
Pardon me?
Great deal on a bus.
Well, that definitely helps, yeah.
okay.
Good.
I think that's right.
Are we on the right path here with how this?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm trying to decide what I think about the excess property tax, because we're trying to keep the number revenue in, revenue out for this year.
right.
And we just get the state school fund formula. Whatever happens with local tax revenues gets zeroed out by that formula. So we might have to think about how we do that part.
Okay, yeah. That good?
Anybody else? All right,
All
thank
right.
you very much.
Sure.
You're still on.
I know, I'm just.
Okay, next. 5.4.
All right. So this is a letter from the auditors essentially saying that they've completed the audit. It is final. It is posted on our website. I believe there's one copy for everyone at the table there for very voluminous this year. I think it's more pages than ever, but what? Lot of information in there, but in the end, it's a very positive audit. In the sense that we gained some ending fund balance that we get to carry forward. And zero material weaknesses. Sorry, I'm gonna pat myself on the back here a little bit and my crew, but zero material weaknesses, zero significant deficiencies on both the financials themselves and the federal funds, federal awards, which I look back several years and there's always seems to be something that they find. And they, not that they didn't find some things, but we were able to address them where they didn't become anything that had to be noted here. But some of the issues we had last year were a one-time thing, and they addressed that at the very last, one of the last pages, that all of those have been resolved and there are no issues like that in the current year. Which keeps us at classified as a low-risk oddity. And so that's just a positive mark, that no matter who's looking at our financials, they're gonna look at that and you're a positive oddity, you're in the right place.
Any
Yes.
questions?
Did they have anything to say about, are we implementing a new program? And did they have anything to say about that?
About the accounting and / payroll.
Yeah.
So, so the challenge is gonna be this year.
Oh,
Because we really did the entire year in last year, June 30th being the end of the year, and we used AS400 for the financial portion. We did in the middle of January 24, we did start the payroll portion, and we had to export it out of the new system and import it into the old system in order to put all the financials together. So the result was it worked out fine. Everything matched up as we hoped it would be. And but it's next year that we'll have to see completely different set of reports, completely different set of data. We'll have to find out, how we've already started the discussions. In fact, how do you want to see that out of this new program? And because they have experience with other districts with this new accounting system, they'll be able to share that with us. But it's just a little bit unknown because the reports I've run for years now, they're different. They're completely different. So, but they were the ones who suggested we do it that way, split it up, start payroll at January and finish the year with everything else in the old system.
okay. All right.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for a very clean
Thank you.
report.
Yeah,
I like it.
clean audit.
Students, if you want to bail, spend an hour, you may. All right.
Thank you. Did everybody get signed?
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome to stay.
Thank
you for the time.
Thank you.
All right, before I introduce Tara real quick, for those of you that attended this morning's budget tour and meeting, I listed all the positions that fell into our operational areas, but for whatever reason, under the food service, did not list the food service managers and assistant managers. So you're probably wondering how 30 employees ran the entire food service. That is because 18 of them weren't listed on there. So if there are an additional 18 food service members to make sure that our kids get fed there. So I'm quickly going to introduce Tara. A year and a half ago, we decided to make a change as to who was leading our food service program. And you know her because she makes phenomenal food for all of these meals, and I've seen a number of her charcuterie boards around the district. But she moved from Texas, moved her family across the country, had very little time to prepare to come into this program. She does make great food, but she is one of the hardest working people I know. She's passionate, she's a perfectionist, and she is super, super smart. She's gonna take a few minutes to share a little bit about the program. So you've seen the food, but to understand a little bit about what goes into that, and there is a ton. We thought it was time for you to hear from her and a little bit about the program. So we're super thankful and want to bring up Tara Kilby.
Thank you, Tommy. Sorry, I haven't seen this one before. So like Tommy said, if you don't already know or haven't seen my face, you probably have heard my name. I am Tara. I am the Grants Pass Food Service supervisor. We kind of joke in house that I'm the department director because that's what I do. I have directed this department in a different direction, and we're really striving to do something different, something fun, something that's going to stand out, not only in the district, but in the state of Oregon and in the nation. We want to be leaders. We want to be leaders in nutrition. So I'm working hard to do that. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about our department and what we've been doing. And if you enjoyed your dinner tonight, that is all menu items that are served at our high school. We also serve the orange chicken at the middle school and elementary. So those are all scratch recipes that we are making currently with many more that we make. So just a little insight onto that. That's something that you can get one time in our menu every month on a Monday at the high school. So some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight is the food service budget allocation and how our budget works within the district, how we've improved our meal counts, some of the changes that we've implemented, and just a little bit about our visions and our goals for the future of this department within Grants Pass. So food and nutrition operates kind of differently for our own little unique bubble. We currently operate a $4 million budget, which is the highest budget this department has ever had in its history. In accordance with all the hard work that we've done in this last 18 months, we have gained additional revenue to get that budget to that point. We operate as a nonprofit, but we are allowed to bring in revenue to help support our program, and we'll talk a little bit about how we do that. And we do not use any money from the district general fund at all. We are self-sufficient. So every single piece of our operation from bottom to top comes from our budget alone. So a little bit more about our revenue and expenditures and a little bit about what we allocate those to. Currently, most of our revenue comes from our federal and state reimbursement, which comes from our meals that we serve within the district. So we operate at all campuses, district-wide, including GP Flex and Gladiola. We also operate out of Family Solutions, and we do service the YMCA for supper meals. So about 88% of our budget revenue comes from those meals that we sell every day. About 10% of our budget currently comes from grants that we have been granted from for applying for different sorts of grants, with the rest of our revenue coming from non-program operations. Okay, so a little bit about our expenditures and how we're currently slated our expenditures. Currently, we are set to spend about 67% of our budget on our labor. A lot of that is for benefits, PERS, that sort of thing. So we cover all that, including our day-to-day hours, including our salaries as administrators of the program. So we are left with about 30% to cover our food cost. About 2% annually goes to equipment replacement, with the rest going to indirect cost and other categories. So in fiscal year 2024, which was last school year, we were able to get about $300,000 in additional revenue from grants that we applied for and were awarded, which helps us improve our meal offerings and our program operations throughout the district. So that helped a lot with some of the things that we're going to show you. And as we go through the rest of this, all the pictures that you see are all stuff from within our district. None of it is stock photos. It's all photos I took from around our campuses. So one of the grants that we control that's really cool is the free fruit and vegetable program. So that provides us with funds to give students at elementary a free fruit or vegetable every Thursday and Tuesday at every single elementary. So we pick unique and different fruits and vegetables to serve those kids and give them a little bit of nutrition education on those items. Some of the other grants that we received and are still receiving their supply chain assistant grant, our local food for schools grant, and a couple different farm to school grants. So some of the other programs that we run within the district, in addition to our national school lunch program and our school breakfast program, which is our main revenue winners, are our after school snack program, our child and adult care food program, and the summer food service program. So all those programs also generate revenue for the department. along with our a la carte sales, which is our snack area at the Grants Pass High School, where we serve all Smart Snack compliant snacks, and the students are allowed to purchase the snacks with funds. And then also catering, which is really just me, but it's okay. I'm a department all in myself. And you see cool things like the PAC anniversary that we did this really awesome charcuterie board for. So we've garnered about $56,000 in additional revenue with non-program funds. So a little bit about how our meals work and how we get that money. So even though there's about 1 million rules and regulations to the department and how we get our money, since we get federal and state funds, this is our main source of funding. So I want to go a little bit into how we get those with serving our breakfast and lunch. So we what we do is we provide what is called a reimbursable meal. And so at breakfast, we have to offer 4 different items. In those categories, we have fruit, grain, dairy, and protein. So we have to offer those items in certain quantities. The students have to take at least 3 of those items, and one of those items has to be a fruit or veggie. What then happens is that plate has to be checked at what we call our point of service, or it's really our cashiers, verifying that those components meet what the state tells us it has to. Same similarities for lunch, where we call what we offer components at lunch. We have 5 components. We have our protein, our grain, our fruit, our veggie, and our milk. We have to offer those 5 components every day. It's different amounts at every level. The students have to take at least 3 out of the 5 components, with one of those components being a fruit and or vegetable. So same similarities at the end. We have to check that plate for compliance and make sure that all the things are on that plate. And they can take up to the maximum amount of components on either meal. So our current reimbursement for meals at breakfast, we get $2.37 for each breakfast that we serve, and $4.45 for each lunch that we serve. And like I kind of said briefly before, that covers all of our costs from labors and benefits to non-food supplies, equipment, food, and other non-direct costs. So when we look at our menu and all the other things in our operation, we have to weigh what our reimbursement is going to be for that meal that year. Good. Little bit about meal counts. So graph may be a little bit hard to see, and I can't see the top of my slide, but I'll tell you, currently we are serving about 1,900 breakfasts per day and 3,300 lunches per day. Last school year, we served 885,000 meals district-wide. Then last year, we also served the highest amount of lunches we have served since 2019. We increased our meal counts 20,000 meals last year versus the prior school year. So we are just striving to keep that going however we can. So we are a CEP district, which means our students eat for free. We receive a free breakfast and a free lunch. Currently across our district, we have 33% of our students eating breakfast with us and 57% of our students eating lunch with us. With our captive audience in our elementaries, about 74% of them participate in lunch daily. So some improvements that we have made across the district, then there are like a lot in the 18 months that I've been here. So I really wanted to showcase the big things. We have been really trying to replace our equipment. Some old things that cooked fast and that weren't cooking as fast as we wanted them to, or things that were aging or needed repairs. We really are trying to replace non-food safe equipment and surfaces that are within our kitchens. So we have done some hard work this year and last year within Allendale, and these all kind of go counterclockwise starting at noon. We can kind of see the old equipment and what it looked like, and the phases that we went through. Taking out the equipment that we replaced was a double stack steamer and a kettle. This is at Allendale. We removed a butcher block table and put in a stainless steel table. So this really, the equipment gives us more opportunity to increase scratch cooking, to increase our output, to make the jobs of our kitchen staff a little bit easier. Same similar projects were done at Redwood. So same, you can see at Redwood, this was what was there and what we replaced it with. This area was also all old wooden equipment that replaced with stainless steel. This is Lincoln. We also did this with Lincoln. At North Middle School this year, we put in 2 mobile serving units. So I remember my first day here, my first school I ever saw was North. And I think they were trying to scare me. And it didn't scare me. I said, okay, how am I gonna fix this? And I don't know that we're there yet, but we've got it going pretty good. So this enabled us to serve Panda Plate, enabled us to eliminate prepackaged items there. It eliminated us to serve a much better, more robust menu at both of the middle schools. I think Barrett would say they're super happy. And he's told me quite a bit of good feedback from there at North. At high school, we've just done a lot of adding equipment. We added some additional fire suppression that was needed to put in a tilt skillet, which gives them a really great bulk space to cook ground beef, cook rice, cook beans, really you can cook anything you can cook on a flat top stove in that. And it has a 30-gallon capacity. And then we also gave them a double stack steamer to just help with their throughput. And then we also gave them some more stainless steel tables to help their flow and prep and a little bit better. So we have a lot of upcoming projects and I won't go into them all, but I will say that our additional revenue that we've made in this last 18 months has really enabled us to do a lot more projects than we normally would budget for. Currently, our budget would allow us to allocate about $65,000 to any kind of equipment replacement we want in one fiscal year. So last fiscal year and this year, we've had upwards, I think about $200,000 to spend on equipment. So that has been a great boon and I hope that to continue. And just so you know, all that is coming from our budget. So some really cool things I want to touch on that really tie in with my vision for the department and where we're heading. We've really pressed hard on providing local food and partnering with local providers. Some really cool thing we got to do this year was get these carrots from Red Butte Farm, and they provided a carrot for each elementary student so that we could participate in National Oregon Crunch Day. And so all the elementary kids took a bite of a carrot all at the same time. It was a really great, wholesome thing. And we were really pushing to partner with further local providers just to get that in there. So that's just some of the local providers we are currently working with to provide some of the things within our program. So like I said, we have started scratch cooking and let me tell you, it is a journey. It is not I want to cook everything by scratch tomorrow. It's going to take a long time to get there, but I think we've made some really great progress. We have started scratch baking. We have started making scratch items. We have started to do some scratch entrees. This is just a very small handful of some of the things that are out there. We're doing a scratch chicken noodle soup. We've got a blueberry breakfast bar that we're doing. We've got some scratch made oatmeal there that Debbie is serving that we actually did this last Wednesday. There's a homemade banana bread that we're making. And this is like just one of the entree salads that we're making right now. Like I said, there's like quite a bit more than this, but I at least wanted to kind of show off a few things that we're doing. We really want to push the idea of nutrition education and how we tie into that. We grow kids and we want to be in this district with that and to partner with you guys to help those kids and help with the nutrition education and how it ties into the health of the students and how it ties into their academic success. So we recently had talked to OSU about how we can work with them to continue providing nutrition education to our students district-wide. The biggest thing I'm proud of this year for me was that we got to attend the Healthy Meal Summit in Las Vegas. We got nominated by ODE as a district who was aspiring to serve healthy meals to their students, because we have a vision and we have tools and they see the things that we're doing. So we were awarded, one of 2 schools in Oregon that were awarded this trip to go to this summit. And for me, I literally got to put that pin on the map, which I hope it's pretty much right. But that was a kind of surreal moment for me to be able to put Grants Pass on a national map for the food and nutrition department, as somebody who's only been in this district for 18 months.
Thank you.
Thank you. I did have memory. Even though there's all those great things, we do still have some barriers that we struggle with, and we will continue to struggle with as we try to push this program. And really, it's, you know, I know you all know, old facilities, poor service line designs, lack of space, power, water needed for upgrades, facilities that were built for small enrollment. All these things really hinder our growth and hinder what we want to see this department become. Off campus, even though it's great for what it is right now, it does give those kids proximity to Pinnacle and other fast food nearby, and really just doesn't mesh with our idea that we want to be healthy and we want to provide our kids nutrition. And really one of our biggest factors is the community perception of our programs. People think school lunch is prison food, and I've heard that before. And so we don't want to be that, right? And we want to win over this community.
Everybody.
People remember the school lunches of the 80s and the meatloaf and the slop and the colors. You don't know what they are. And I think they still think that's what school lunch is. But that's not what our school lunch is. And that will never be what our school lunch is. So thank you guys.
Tara, thank you. You've taken our. Are there any questions?
So, at one point, we were going to pilot a program of dinners also. Did that ever?
So we do have a separate program. That's our child and adult care food program. That's what it's called. So we have expanded that just a little bit. This year, we recently took on the YMCA for supper meals, and we're doing about 80 supper meals. Beyond that, we also have quite a lot of programs at Riverside that we feed supper. Allendale has a few clubs that feed supper, and we're currently looking to continue expanding that program.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to give a kudo. We all had the opportunity to go down and serve the holiday meal.
Yes.
And a kudo to you because you're a hands-on person,
Mhm.
and watching you as the director in there doing the work with everybody else is such a wonderful model. The other thing was the attitude of the workers. They're sort of joyful, positive nature with 600-700 kids coming through. Just made me happy to be there. My arthritis hurt after doing so many mashed potatoes, but it was a great experience to see what you're doing down there. So
Thank you. And we do appreciate you guys getting to see that and getting to live a day in our lives. Sometimes it's nice to see that. So
When I grow up, I want to be a lunch lady. Now, you make me want to be a lunch lady.
We're getting rid of them across the post.
yeah, anytime.
No honey, it's roasted sister.
Is pizza a vegetable, a protein, or dairy?
So.
Yes.
I would agree.
As a grain, and just like kind of a little informatic, all of our grains we serve across the district are whole grain. The pizza would count as a grain and a meat or meat alternate, which is anything that counts in that protein department. So, and sometimes veggies if we put veggies on them.
Cool. Well, thank you. That's
great.
Thank you. Feels good to have pride in our food. Let's see, 5.6 new courses at Grants Pass High School.
We should almost get the credit right.
Any order?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. We got a lot. So we're gonna roll through quickly, and I'm not sure in what order they are in your packet, but we'll make it work. So the first 2 courses I'm going to talk about are Foundations of Healthcare Professions and Intro to Pharmacology, which are 2 additions to our health sciences program, with Stephanie Thompson being our new teacher. Foundations of Healthcare is going to be an intro level course Kids can take emergency care, which is pretty hands-on. I like to call it the blood and guts class. It was my favorite class to teach. Some kids are interested in healthcare, but maybe don't want to go that route. And so this is really an introduction to what are some opportunities in healthcare. You can see she's got the weeks planned out. It's a lot of career exploration about ethics and legal issues. She talks about how to communicate with the field. You'll see that they will do a field trip to Asante, and they are going to do a job shadow. So get them actually out and seeing what different healthcare careers are available. This course will articulate with CD 155, which is an RCC course. But again, intro level course that the kids can start with and then branch out to other health science classes. Intro to pharmacology is going to be an advanced level course for kids, also articulated with RCC AH 108, which is Introduction to Pharmacology. Any individual who goes into healthcare, whether it's nursing, nurse practitioner, doctor, pharmacist, they need to understand what pharmacology is, the medications that are out there, even EMTs, paramedics, all those folks. And so this course is an introduction to all of that and the terminology that goes along with it, and what the medications do to the body, which ones you shouldn't combine together, and all of the things. But like I said, any kid that goes into medicine is going to need to know this information. So it's going to be great that they're able to get this in high school. So those are going to be the 2 additional health sciences courses that Stephanie Thompson will offer next year. Questions on those 2 before I roll? Sweet. Okay. The next. Do they have this in their packet? So the program of study for early childhood education, that should be a flow chart that looks like so. Ashley Gerard is our early childhood education teacher. And the courses on the left are what she currently does in her program. As we know, not everyone wants to maybe become a teacher with little tiny humans in preschool land. We have a lot of people that want to become elementary school teachers, middle school, high school teachers. And so Ashley was able to get this Rising Educators curriculum through Perkins funding. And she is super excited about offering this Rising Educators pathway as part of her program. When she looked at the program, she basically is like, it's a teacher educator program to the T. She's super excited about it. So she's going to break this into, it's going to kind of be a 2-year rollout for her. So the first 2 courses, the Rising Educator Introduction and Becoming a Rising Educator, would be offered next year. And then the practicums, which would actually get our kids out into our elementary school, middle school, or high school, depending on the kids' interest, would be then the following year. So kind of a 2-year rollout. Ashley might be a little bit nuts because there are a lot of courses. Brendan's shaking his head. It's what our CTE teachers do in order to give kids as many opportunities as they can. So she's very excited about this program and working to get kids who want to become teachers that will hopefully come back and be teachers in our school. So that is the 4 new courses on the right side of that flow chart that Ashley is planning to offer in the next couple of years. Questions I can answer about those?
There excitement in the student population?
I think so. Ashley, a lot of kids will take these children and families or child psychology as an intro level course, but then they want to become teachers, but they don't, the little kids scare them. They don't want to be part of that. But so for them to have an opportunity to learn about what it's going to take to be an elementary school teacher or middle or high school teacher, I think we'll see a shift in some kids go from early childhood into this Rising Educators, and then hopefully get some kids in who just didn't want to take part of it because they don't want to go into the daycare or the preschool and work with the littles. They are much more excited about working with the older kids. And we might even be able to place some of them, at the high school, their practicum experience if they want to become a high school teacher, which is super cool. So
Nice. It seems broader.
yes.
Anybody
Okay.
else?
I'm going to turn it over.
Okay.
Alicia's got the next group.
Also another CTE offering, Travis Rapley, our automotive teacher, has
is continuing to build his program. So his next class he's proposing is Auto 3. And so it's just a continuation of building on the skills that would be taught in Auto 1 and 2, specifically brakes, steering, suspension, electrical and scan tools. So just a continuation of what he's currently doing. Pretty straightforward. Any questions on that one? Okay.
And so number one, they work on small engines. Number two, they start to look at cars and stuff.
Yeah, they're working on, they're using staff cars, and we do have a car in there that Grants Pass Toyota gave the program, so they've done
Like light
wiper,
maintenance.
light
Oil
filters, oil changes, so they've done all of those things this year on staff who would like to bring their car in. Yeah.
Yes.
So Grants Pass Toyota and Grants Pass Automotive, who are sister companies, they just came last week and presented us with another $50,000 donation to the program. I know that we just got a very fancy, in fact, the automotive folks were like, we don't have like nice ones like that in our shops. A brand new tire, well, two machines. One takes the tire off of the rim and one puts the tire back on the rim.
Ram balances it.
It does that. So those are, the tools that the kids are gonna get to use and practice with and do things. But yeah, they came and then presented and chatted with the kids about all the things you can do in the automotive industry. It's not just an auto technician, but what are the possibilities? How much could they make? How important it is to go to school to get some baseline information and understanding about automobiles. They've been a phenomenal partner, and we're just super thankful and gracious that they have given us the money to help get this off the ground.
They have another car they would donate.
Michelle's in the works on that. Started a little email communication to see, yeah, they made it sound like they could get us maybe more than one car, so that the kids were practicing on cars that were staying in the shop and not real people cars.
Is there a waiver for the staff to sign?
I look for board member cars though.
Oh.
That was gonna be my next question for you.
I need a new exhaust. fan.
Well-
I know that.
Any other questions on automotive?
Yeah, keep it up.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on.
So,
Tommy, an update on the expansion of the automotive program?
The DCS is finishing up some last minute design things, and then we'll go out for bid, and we're gonna have every classroom out the backside, not the 8th Street side over here, but the school side of the building. So it'll be an outdoor classroom setup. There'll be some heaters there and a couple more lifts to be able to work on cars outside. So expanding the program there, more opportunities for them and space to accommodate the growing demand for students or by students.
Yeah. And I would like to add too that Travis is working with RCC to be able to offer RCC credit. It just takes time to make sure that everything RCC requires for their classes are things that he's doing / would fit into his coursework. So that's currently working on right now.
Do we still have a robust student interest? Yeah.
Mhm.
so can I
Yeah.
backtrack a little bit on the education flow chart? I know that a lot of teachers, a lot of students work with teachers like as an assistant or administrative or something. Does that fit into this flow chart at all, or?
No, a TA is, as we call it, a teacher's assistant is, like one kid a period that helps with the little things, maybe a little easy grading here, or can you cut these things out, or can you, clean out this cabinet, or,
I didn't know if that was something that would.
The practicum
know.
experience is gonna need to be kids actually doing teacher-like activities, with it's interacting with the kids, maybe it's putting them in front of the class and having them do, small activities. In elementary school, it might be like reading groups and things like that. So in her practicum program, they're gonna need to be, I don't wanna say similar to a student teaching experience, but they're gonna need to be,
Okay,
in a sense, playing teacher, in some fashion supervised by
okay,
the lead teacher in the classroom.
all right, thank you.
Okay. The next course I'd like to talk about is Civics and American Government. This is a rework of our current government class. We've had a government class, but there is a requirement now that civics is its own credit on the transcript. And so it's just a rework. And so it covers all the things that Schoolhouse Rocks covered. So Constitution stuff, Bill of Rights, that's what I think about when I read, but it's the same thing. And so just everything about judicial system, the amendments, things of that nature. So it is a year-long course for seniors. That will then fulfill a 0.5 credit for civics and a 0.5 credit for US government.
And I'll just mention that we'll talk about it when we talk about grad requirements, that economics will no longer be a senior required class. The social studies department has taken the econ standards and embedded them not only in the civics and government class, but also in US history and world cultures. And as you know, we have to offer personal finance, which there is some overlap of the economic standards in the personal finance class as well. So econ will no longer be a standalone class and will not be required.
Okay. Debbie, you were asking about the teacher assistant peer tutor. We actually do have a new course proposal for peer tutor. So we currently offer a peer tutor class, but it is a little bit just like a clerical assistant. There's not probably a lot of peer tutoring that actually goes on. The student is there if they're needed to help, but this class came out of some ideas last year with our staff about different ways to support our students that need a little bit more support. So our proposal for this class is a peer tutor that instead of a pass, no pass is a graded class, and the student is front loaded with instruction about how to be a peer tutor. They would work through a Canvas module with support from some staff about how to deal with the things, communication, identifying student needs, what to do if the person doesn't want to be peer tutored, how do you navigate that, organization, all those things that that student would need to really be an effective peer tutor. Along with, we are setting clear expectations for our staff that does this, like the peer tutor must be actively peer tutoring 50% of the time, not cutting out things in the back of the room or things of that nature. And so this one, like I said, it's a kind of a rework of something we currently have, but just bulked up a little bit more.
So, but they don't have to be graded on how well the student they're tutoring does.
No, they're not graded on that. They're not graded on that. No, they're not. And so they're graded on their work through the Canvas module. And then most likely these students would have check-in times to come together to check in with a different teacher, probably myself, maybe Mrs. McNulty. We've talked about this, about checking in with them, because the teacher in the class is also teaching. They don't have a lot of time to be checking in one-on-one with that student. And so that allows us to be checking in with the program to make sure it's working the way we intend it to work.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. And I think this is our last one. I think so. Yeah. Okay. So the next one is writing 122. And so currently our seniors, when it comes to their senior year, take some different senior selectives to fulfill their English requirement. We have poetry of rock, we have film as literature. We also already offer a college writing class, which students can then choose to take RCC credit. This class is the continuation of, after writing 121, it's writing 122. And so this is a need that staff in the College and Career Center and RCC and I identified last year. Writing 122 is a requirement to get your Oregon transfer degree. It's a requirement of most four-year schools in Oregon. And so it's just really setting students up to be even more prepared to have those, knocked off as soon as they can, as well as it fulfilling their senior selective requirement.
I will say it's also a requirement in California. I know my son is going to have to take a research-based writing course because we didn't have writing 122 as an option for him. So I think most colleges are shifting to that.
Yeah, question regarding that class. Half the Sky, I'm very familiar with that book.
Yeah, and
it's a very, very difficult book
And that actually, this is actually inaccurate. So originally, that is the book that RCC recommended. That's the book they use on their campus for Writing 122. We are, Teresa Connolly, our English department lead, has been in contact with RCC to see what other texts might be, would also work for us. And so they just asked that the students focus on one kind of research project somewhat together. That way the teacher is, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to rephrase that. They have a common research project to talk about. That way the teacher's giving feedback, they're reading, they're talking about a similar thing. And so there are other books being recommended by RCC at this time. We just don't have that finalized.
With the similar, I think the theme is really important, so don't misunderstand. I think that it's an incredibly important issue in our world today. And more so in our country, even now, over the last few years, it's just ballooning the way children and women are being treated. It's just, I'm looking at the emotional side of the child. And since.
Yeah, and this won't be the book. This won't be the book.
Are you looking at dealing with that topic though?
No, not necessarily. I think they're like reaching back out to RCC and the department, the gentleman who works at RCC that oversees their like humanities department that would be our partner in this. And he kind of left it open. And so Teresa Connolly, after she finishes grading all of the finals that she's grading right now and all the essays that she's grading at the end of the semester, we'll pick up that work right after when we move into the second semester to start researching some new books that would also support, would still meet the need, but might be more appropriate or accessible to students.
I'm just looking at for some children to process that stuff.
Sure, and this is a senior selective class for only for seniors as well. Yeah.
Plan will be to update the parent advisory council with the title of that book as well as you. We need this course in the course catalog, so didn't want to stall the production of that because we're going to start work with our students over the next 2 months. But we will come back to you with the book that will be a required text in that book. Our parent advisory council did approve all of these books or all of these courses, I mean. Last week, just wanted to make sure that's known as well.
Great, thank you.
Bless you.
Anything else?
Okay, I think we got them all. You did great. Yeah, thank you. 5.7 strategic plan update.
Everybody? Thank you. Last month you got the behavior strategic plan update. This month is career related learning. So disappointed Nathan's not here to hear our update on our work related to career related learning. And you're going to get a fraction of the educational excellence presentation. We'll give you more of the educational excellence next month. As you know, we have a monthly schedule of updating you on our progress achieving strategic plan goals. So related to career related learning, sounds good. Shauna Bland and I have been headed out to all of our schools. The bulk of this presentation you're going to see is what we shared with our staff so that they knew about the strategic plan and the role that they play in achieving these goals. Because as you know, we're a community committed to excellence and success for all. It doesn't take words on a paper. It takes people knowing what the job is and what we really need them to strive and do. We have 2 more elementaries to go to, and we'll be finishing up that this month. It's been really well received by our staff. And so just reminding you of our goals and objectives. We have been telling people about our action steps. So one of them was to expand Avid implementation K-12. You already heard about this earlier. We're making sure that our staff all understand why we're expanding Avid implementation, how opportunity knowledge fits into the grand scheme of career-related learning. Kids need to know what do I aspire to be? What are my strengths? What are my interests? What do I want to do? And then need to know how to navigate those. We will provide curriculum ideas, resources, etc. That was another action step on the strategic plan. What we have put together is a staff resources page for career education resources. I'm not going to click on that link, but that link takes you to things that are available to our staff to use in the classroom that they can expand their opportunities in the classroom to blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? I got sidetracked because I was thinking about other things on that website are also about field trip opportunities, guest speakers. Shauna has really opened up the door to staff contacting her as a resource when they're looking to bring somebody into their class. We've also let our staff know about Naviance and how we use that in grades 6 through 12. So it's been helpful to inform the district kind of what our work is in this area. Another action step, we will increase student and parent, guardian, staff knowledge and understanding. We've started with staff. As you may know, and this is actually in your packets as well. So Ready is an organization in Southern Oregon that called together business and industry partners along with educators and developed this employability skills rubric. On the left side are the most important skills identified by that work group as needing to be present when a student starts out in our workforce. And then the rubric helps identify where the student falls currently in this area. So it's been helpful to let staff know about this and how they could use it. One elementary teacher told us, oh my gosh, I am going to start using this when I'm talking about behavior. I'm meeting with a parent of a student challenged with some behavior issues and what we're focused on and how we can measure and give the student and the parent some feedback. Our middle school and high school tying this into work that they do in the classroom. One thing that we're trying to do is get some baseline data on how students are doing with employability skills. And so how we're planning to do that is in 10th grade during Career Academy, students will take a self-assessment on how they think they're doing related to this rubric. And then again in their senior year to see if there's growth. So this year is baseline data for our 10th graders, and 89 students in our Career Academy class participated. When I shared some of these things with our staff, we were a little surprised by students' perceptions of where they fall on the rubric, especially in the area of respect and rating themselves so high. But that gives us an opportunity to provide feedback, to educate. Not sure about not saying our students aren't respectful. That is not what I'm trying to say. But if you look at the rubric and really gauge what's needed in the workforce, how do we give students feedback about the reality of where they're at? Same thing with like reliability, you know, being on time, being present in your work. The majority of students rated themselves a 3 or a 4. That where too is an opportunity for us to educate our students. So we're planning to use this data with pre and post. As we collect more data, we'll come back to you and be able to report on how students feel their growth is in employability skills.
I find it interesting they see respect as different than all those other things, which actually are
The same.
subsets of respect.
Yep, that's our an opportunity for us to further educate. We have been asking our staff to participate in a survey. Debbie?
Well, so I
Sorry,
just,
missed you, Debbie.
sorry, I just wondered, do they get like little videos of examples of what respect looks like?
So back to that
Rubric.
D7 resource page.
Yeah.
So in that, if you click on the link, you go to all these staff resources where there are embedded lessons, including video examples and resources like that to help educate, inform. And a lot of them are aligned with those employability skills. The lessons are aligned to the employability skills. So yeah.
Right, thank you.
Another action step in the strategic plan is to collect baseline data about what our teachers feel their capacity is with career connected learning. So during our presentations, we've asked staff to participate. At the time that I put this presentation together, we had 116 teachers respond. Again, I'm glad we put together this tool. You know, it came out of our conversations, Nathan, Cassie, and I, with just where are opportunities for us to support our staff with where this can exist in their classroom. How often do they incorporate these types of things into their lessons? Again, really good baseline data for us to work with, like how do we expand that? How do we? Especially when, oh, it's the next slide. I'll come back to that. We asked what kind of career connected opportunities do you currently do in your classroom? So just kind of gauging what are some of the more easy things for them to leverage and where could we find some more resources? But then we wanted to ask, what are the barriers? What really keeps you from finding time to help expand career-related learning in your classroom? And not surprisingly, the demand of other curriculum, not surprisingly, you know, we're going to talk about reading and math next month. That's a priority topic. So how do they do that and this? So again, how do we find ways to help them with some balance? And then of course, time is an issue. Not all of our staff know about our awesome college or career and technical ed programs. You heard about 3 of them tonight, expanding their course offerings. You have a one pager, really great brochure. Shout out to my good friend Hosfeld out there for helping put that together. That specifically was called out as an action item in the strategic plan of having a one pager to tell about our career and technical ed programs. We're working on ways to get that out to the community, to our parents, to our students. So we started with our staff. 2 facts that we're making sure people know and understand. Did you know that if a student takes just one CTE class at Grants Pass High School, their graduation rate is over 90%. If they take 2 full credits, that's 4 classes in career and technical ed, they have over a 95% chance of graduating from high school.
Yes.
Next time I update you, we just got our Perkins 90% report is what they call it from Oregon Department of Ed. It gives us data on how our CTE students are doing in areas like graduation, math outcomes, reading outcomes, post-secondary planning. And again, these programs are a shining star in our district, and we want people to know about what we're doing and how we're doing the work. Side note, we don't just do these programs. As you know, we brought in Pacific Aviation last month to share with you. Next semester, Pacific Aviation will be teaching 11 of our students on campus at Grants Pass High School, the flight training course that is being offered this semester. We are currently working with RCC on their dental hygiene program they have, trying to connect with Fagans on cosmetology. So these are not all we offer. We're always looking for opportunities, and we share those opportunities through our career center. So did you know we have this awesome thing called a career center? Shauna Bland runs that. She offers all these things. So we're out there making sure people know about what we're doing in career-related learning. So that was our presentation on career-related learning. Just a quick update on some educational excellence goals, because in 2 weeks, the state of Oregon will publish our graduation rates. And so wanted to get out in front of that a little bit. I don't have concrete data for you. A lot of the data is embargoed, and so I don't know how we compare and whatever. And so we'll come back and share with you more information, but wanted to let you know what we think, what we know is our graduation rate. And then how, starting at 9th grade, the work we're doing there makes a difference in the educational outcomes for our students. So first with 9th grade on track. These are all investments we make. Most of them are through the high school success dollars, Measure 98. We have a 9th grade teacher, 9th grade coordinator, our 9th grade teachers meet and talk about kids under the direction of our coordinator. Success mentors work with our students. We also have MKV, remember from budget committee, that's our McKinney Vento, homeless family liaison, Spanish family liaison for Spanish speaking families. Working with Project Youth Plus do a lot 8th to 9th grade in terms of the summer bridge class and what we're trying to do there. And then we've created some success spaces, a success space where freshmen can come and get additional support. So last year, end of Q1, we were 72%. This is all data that Rochelle Watson, who is our 9th grade coordinator, crunches. So these are all not official numbers, but it kind of gives us a good indication of how we're trending. I think we're trending in the right direction. 9th grade on track data comes out officially once a year in September. And so we'll update you on exactly where we land, but we monitor this quarterly. The 9th grade teachers get together at least once a quarter, talk about kids, talk about where they're failing, talk about interventions for the students, and try to get there early so that our students have a chance to be on track to graduate in 4 years. Da, 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 da. Pretty stoked about these graduation rates, not gonna lie. You'll see, again, the state data is the orange line, and I don't have state data to share with you, but I do have District 7 data. And yes, that 4-year cohort green line is going in the right direction. I focus on the green line because we are GP. We do this work together. And although you might see some trends at certain schools going down, we as a district are going up, and it takes all of us to do that, not just one of us to do that. Grades past high school though, 93.93 graduation rate. Let's call it 94%. Sounds good to me. And then us as a district, I'm going to call that 80%. Pretty close. So feeling pretty good about where we're trending in our 4-year graduation rate. This is an ongoing effort. It takes, because there's a new group of kids. It's not like, every year you get a different group of kids, and how can you make a difference with that group of kids? So we're constantly trying to figure that out with our systems and how we put things in place. Our 4-year completer rate, even higher, because this data includes our GED completer, and Gladiola crushes it on the GED completer front. For a lot of students, that is saving grace and an amazing thing that we are able to offer in District 7. So not official data, but wanted to give you what I think is going to be official at the end of the month. And then we'll give you state comparisons and how we look regionally as well. Wanted to also update you because on the educational excellence goal is a data dashboard that you've asked for specifically to create a data dashboard to be made available to you. So today, you go to the Board of Education page. That strategic plan data under board member resources is there for you to log in. My friend Kristen will be sharing with you a password. This is password protected data because some of it could be tied back to individual students or groups of students. And that is data we should protect. And so you will have to log into the strategic plan data site. This is just the start of a work in progress. It may not meet all of your needs at this point in time, but it's a start of what we envision sharing with you. Dang it, my update didn't make it in there. I thought if I updated my PowerPoint. So if you click that, what you'll see is the graduation data, attendance data, 9th grade success data. You'll see it for the last 3 years. You'll be able to click on the data. It'll take you to a Google form. You can, if you want to download the data and play with the data and make pie charts and do whatever it is you want to do, you can do that within the Google form. We'll be adding to it next month with our presentation on math and reading. I know behavior is working on some stuff, and facilities, facility data, right? Is what the other link that will be on there. So some of the data you've been asking for right now, you'll just see the academic stuff that we have out there right now, but it will be updated as we, the data doesn't change every day. And we don't test these data points every moment of the school year. And so we'll let you know when it's been updated, and then you'll be able to look back and see. So if you would go there and give us some feedback in terms of are we on track with the educational data and what you need? That would be helpful. Oh. Sorry about that. There it is. So when you click on your board resources, it'll take you out to, this is what the academic one looks like. And so you'll see years of data, and then it takes you out to the spreadsheets for each one of those data sets that you can do some work with or see what it is you want to dig into a little bit further.
Excellent.
But that is where we're at and what we're working on. It takes all of us. And any questions about career-related learning and a little bit of educational excellence?
Trish, my
Let's
question
take a
actually
moment.
relates to what you're doing, but also to the community outreach goal that's on our strategic plan. I'm looking at this here, okay? How do people see this? How do they get access to this?
Mhm.
Do they have to go on the website to see this?
Well, there's a lot to find on our website, and yes, you can find something like that, but we really need to hit the streets, if you will.
That's what I was
So-
gonna get at.
So right now, like in our career center, Shauna's team, they go to like the Chamber of Commerce meetings once a week, once a month. They'll take the flyer with them and make sure folks know when we go and when we're talking with different automotive dealers, making sure they have the flyer. Just being out and about, we'd encourage you, we can make copies of them and you can take them to places. It really takes all of us to spread the word. At the community listening session, we can hand them out.
See, that.
Presentation at Rotary, we handed them out.
Okay, that's my question, because these things are, we just rely to go out for, get people to go on a
Right.
website, it's not gonna happen.
Right.
But getting them out there in the community is important for this, but also for other things like the academic program. The reason I say this, I look on the Facebook websites on community chats, Grants Pass community chats,
Mhm.
and I get very irritated when I hear somebody ask, I'm moving to town. What schools are the good schools? And I'll hear this thing, stay away from District 7. Now, that's not all of them that come out like that, but when I see one of those, it just frustrates the fool out of me, because who is that person that's saying that? And where's the rebuttal to it? Okay. And I'm thinking, even on those chats like that, those public forums that you see on things like Facebook, to be able just to have that on the site, just being able to just take a picture of it and attach it to. Just something to think about, because that kind of outreach certainly impacts and can impact our enrollment in a very positive way.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad to hear that they're getting out in the community,
Yeah.
but
I would, she's not gonna come in here, but I'm gonna speak for her.
Yeah.
Because really, I know she would, because I've asked her before, can we rebuttal on social, can we get in? And no, we don't want to enter into arguments with people and.
no, I'm not talking about an argument. I'm just talking about being
Yeah,
able
but
to,
even,
Have you ever commented on a social media? Those voices have to be ignored.
yeah.
Yeah. But Kristen does, in fact, next month is CTE Appreciation Month, and she always plans ways to highlight and showcase. If we can be out in front of the message, I think the message is better. And just trying to inform as many people as we
See,
can.
that's what I'm getting at. When I look at these sites, there are people that they advertise their business. Okay? And it isn't that we have to respond to what somebody says, but to be proactive and take a picture of this and say, Grants Pass is so proud of its CTE program.
Joe, that's your job.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
can
It's
do
all
this.
of our
He
jobs.
can do
I would
this
say it's-
Talk tank thing.
It's something
Oh,
we all have to be doing.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, there are people I know I have told about our CTE programs, and they still go, I don't know what we have at Grants Pass High School. And it's like, all right, let me tell you again. We just have to keep the message going, and it takes all of us to do.
Well, when we get into our community, our goal that has to do with community outreach, we need to be strategic in doing that, not just say we need to go out and do that.
Yeah.
There needs to be a strategy to get that done. A marketing strategy, so to speak. But anyhow,
Yep.
I'm glad we're at least getting it out there, but I think we can be probably more strategic in how we do it.
Yep.
Not just, you guys can go out and do it, but really make assignments.
Joe, I think this is a little bit off topic, but I think dealing with those issues has a lot to do with transparency, and that's
Yeah.
one of the things that we've been addressing.
Yeah.
And I would say, I'm pretty certain that it wasn't Tim, but I saw a screenshot of a post that was made in response to somebody asking,
Mhm.
how are they paying for this bus? I'm gonna guess that was.
Oh, I saw
Kristen.
that. I saw that.
And it was very well done.
Yeah.
So, but letting people know things.
Yeah.
Right, instead of just,
Yeah.
which is great, here's a shiny new bus, it looks fantastic, but, and by the way, we saved, $200,000 or almost.
And it pays for
Like,
itself.
Those kinds of things are fantastic to get in front of, like Trish is talking about. So anyways, it was well done with the response, but just putting that out there to start with is also awesome.
Good guess that it wasn't from me.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
What's that?
I do want to say thank you for all the work that goes into that.
Yeah.
It's an amazing graduation rate, and that's something you guys.
We're pretty excited.
If I was in charge of budget, I'd send you all to Hawaii or something.
Oh,
That's great. Turns out I'm not.
I am, and I'm not.
I figure. Gary,
You had the students do the self-assessment based on this stuff. It'd be interesting to see our staff do an assessment of our students. Just so we could see the comparison between what they think and what our staff think. In
There's
terms
some
of
of that on the youth truth. There is,
Yeah.
actually, there's some questions where students assess how respectful they are.
Oh, yeah.
responsible, And then the teachers say how respectful and responsible the students are. So there is some of that on there.
Yeah, the graduation rate stuff, pretty cool. I am curious. You mentioned a statistic and without context, I don't know what to make of it. So I'm curious, if you take one CTE course, you graduated
Mhm.
90%.
Yep.
I don't know if that's Grants Pass High School, if that's everybody in the district, whatever it is. I don't know if it's 4 years, 5 year, what have you, but
Mhm.
if you don't take one, what is that number? Because I'm seeing almost 94% is our,
90%.
so I'm just curious,
Yeah.
that's not a knock, but just curious, what does that actually mean?
Yeah. So we have to submit data to the Oregon Department of Ed on all of our career and technical ed programs, and that entails sharing each individual student's course sequence and what they did during their 4 years. We do it annually, so every course is then added to the Oregon Department of Ed database. They then produce what's called a 90% Perkins report. It's really how the quality of your program is measured by the state of Oregon. The Perkins dollars are awarded, and so it's a way of keeping compliant with Perkins dollars. What they do, and they provide us with the data. They don't disaggregate the kids who don't participate. I'd have to extrapolate a little bit looking at I could take our graduation detail, tell you which students, I could do it by hand and create that. Oregon Department of Ed doesn't produce that. But what it's in essence, what they're trying to say is career and technical ed connects students to post-secondary and gives them kind of a plan for high school and keeps them connected to the school. And it shows that your programs of quality, and that number could change and fluctuate every year because it depends on the cohort that's graduating that year. But that's been our rough average is over 90% for one class and over 95% if you complete a program of study.
Okay, I'm not suggesting you should do a lot more data analysis. You're
Yeah.
doing enough of that anyways, but just curious how to relate that to
Yeah.
other things. So it sounds like it comes out of this Perkins program.
The data does, we submit the data, but then it's all part of Perkins compliance.
Still dancing, sorry. And I'm lost.
Graduation requirements.
5.8.
Yeah, we'll be quick, but Alicia's got to come back over here. If you could put it
Diploma
on the-
requirements and honors.
for
diploma.
graduation requirements. Next board policy meeting, policy, gee, man, Christmas, I think it's IK, but don't quote me if I'm wrong. We will be doing the graduation requirement policy on that policy agenda. We have a number of things to update. You heard a little bit about it tonight with the civics requirement is required by law.
And so civics as a standalone class for the class of 2026, that's this year's juniors, is required for them to graduate. I've presented to you a couple of times this year that for the class of 2027 and beyond, career education and personal finance. We've been doing career education now for a number of years, over 10, 12 years. But personal finance will be required for this year's sophomores before they graduate from high school. And so the credit count is still the same, 24. What it in essence did by changing the personal finance requirement is lessened the number of electives that students are required to take. Thinking about our early grads, thinking about our college or career-related learning strategic plan, Alicia led the charge on putting together an honors diploma plan. This is a way to keep kids connected. And let me tell you, they like to strive for these kinds of things. So in the board policy, we'd like to call out the honors diploma that would be awarded to any Grants Pass School District student, starting with this year's juniors, and we have a rollout plan, but Alicia will share with you the process, all the input we gathered.
Sure.
And
Okay.
and the final recommendation.
Yeah, so I feel like sometime last year, the conversation about an honors diploma came up in a conversation between somebody, and I started researching local school districts to find what other local school districts offer an honors diploma. It is something that ODE recognizes as well. And the first requirement of the honors diploma comes straight from ODE, that it is a 3.5 unweighted GPA. When I researched other area high schools, Klamath Falls, I'm gonna say I don't remember honestly, there was quite a few, Medford, they had varied different requirements. And so through the feedback of various groups, site council, parent advisory, our department leaders, our counseling department, our student leadership team, we landed on these requirements. So as you can see, the 3.5 unweighted GPA, also earning 6 credits in either advanced placement, advanced level coursework. So that might be like an advanced level auto 3 or 4. It might be pharmacology. It's not just AP, it's any advanced level coursework, and or college level classes at 100 level or higher. We have a handful of classes that students can earn college credit with. And then also, participating in the 11th grade statewide assessment for language arts and math. And then finally, students must have more than just the minimum requirement of 24 credits. So the requirement would be 27 credits, with 25 of those being graded. So we do have some pass, no pass, some sports electives, some sports count for elective credit, some peer tutoring, things like that count for pass, no pass, but it would be required that they would be graded. Our rollout plan really just addresses the credit requirement. And so kind of rolling up next year for our seniors, the requirement would be 25 credits, being that they didn't know about this, maybe enough time to gather those extra credits, and then rolling up the next year to 26, and then finally to 27, which would be the final requirement for our students. So our student leadership students were very excited about. I was a little bit shocked at how very excited they were. Our current seniors were a little bit bummed that this isn't something that they can participate in, but overwhelming response from the groups that we worked with to get here.
In essence, what this will mean is the diploma, the piece of paper they get when they walk across the stage will say honors Grants Pass High School diploma. We haven't drafted it, but it will, and there will be a.
I think ODE also sends a seal, because when students earn the seal of biliteracy distinction, an actual little gold seal, when I submit that information to the ODE, a little gold seal comes back to me in the mail that our registrar puts on students' diplomas. And so I'm thinking there's not a lot on the ODE website to explain this, but that's how I'm interpreting it, that also they would send some sort of seal. We'll probably figure out some sort of regalia, whether or not it's additional cords or whatever it is that students would also wear upon graduation with this.
And correct me if I'm wrong, if if a student took every class that's available to them, they could get 28 credits.
Correct.
So 27 is doable.
Absolutely.
We have students who have over 30 credits.
How do they do that?
Participate in extracurricular activities because we award credit for that. They do summer school activities and then wellness. Yeah.
Yeah, rolling up from 8th grade if they had advanced level math.
Yeah.
So what's with the unweighted GPA?
That is that we just to keep it clean, that is the requirement from the Oregon Department of Ed. And so that is instead of
For a student, just saying, for a student who, if it was a weighted GPA and a student who took advanced, the computer science pathway or whatever and didn't participate in any of our AP, only AP courses are weighted. And so we calculate both a weighted and an unweighted GPA, and it kind of levels the how that works.
It's also a way, I think, for us to acknowledge honors in education, not just through advanced placement work, right? Students in our CTE programs don't have, those are not a weighted GPA, and so
Or a number of our
Yeah.
advanced courses,
Right,
it's
correct.
just our AP that's weighted.
It's just that, so the best way to complete that is to take the minimum number of AP classes. Because if you don't get an A, you're hurting yourself.
It's a way to honor other pathways.
it's a way to honor all the pathways.
Yeah.
A lot of things have like unweighted and weighted, right? That's not something that was of interest when looking at this, where you give both options.
It's from ODE.
Well, I'm not sure, I guess I'm not sure what having I mean, I guess I don't know how we would have both numbers on there, because essentially they're the same, right? Like there's a weighted and an unweighted, and so we could list them both on there, figure out would be like a 4 point,
But isn't that ODE's requirement of an on?
That's a minimum, that's the minimum requirement from ODE, that is a 3.5 unweighted, that's their minimum requirement for the honors diploma.
Gary, explain how it hurts you.
What's that?
You said it would hurt you if you got like a B in an AP course or something like that. Is that what you're
Right.
saying?
Yeah, B is a 3.
Because your unweighted is gonna bring you down.
B is a 3, you gotta have 3
They're
and a
weighted.
half.
It's an AP course.
You
They're
don't
weighted.
get it.
Yeah, but a weighted, but anything else is a B.
It's just
Don't
playing
get
the
B.
game. I'm telling you how to play the game to win, right?
If you took.
Minimum AP classes make it the easiest path.
Your GPA is gonna be low. Potentially.
All right. Any other questions?
We'll talk about it more at the policy committee meeting because we need to adjust that policy.
Awesome. Thank you very much. You're up, sir.
It's me.
Superintendent report.
All right. How are you guys doing? Do you need to stretch or are you doing all right? Plow through? Okay. A couple things. As you folks know, ARs are generally the area for the administration to put together for policies. That's the one of the things that we've been talking about. But in your packet, you see through some research we've done, there are some ARs that require board approval. So they're explained here for you. And we have some of them coming up and wanted just to give you an idea of why some ARs are in front of the board and why some of the ARs are just done by the administrators. Nothing too exciting there. I said this morning, but I wanted to say it again tonight. Unless there's questions about ARs, pretty straightforward stuff. Okay. As we were sitting here, I did another quick search about the data breaches that have been going on through because of some issues at Power School. State of Alabama's seen some great problems with all of this. Multiple school districts in the state of Oregon are going through this. Just want to say again to Tommy and his team out there in IS, thank you for protecting us, keeping our data safe. We got confirmation again from Power School that no D7 data was in any of the breaches. So we appreciate the work that they're doing and keeping everything safe out there. We really have an amazing team of folks. I know you hear that every month, but sometimes folks like IS or food service aren't front and center, and it's nice to give them a little time to do a shout out for them and the work that they do, because it really is amazing. And Tara's really transformed a lot of what we do in food service. I know it's a long journey still to go, but we've made some great steps in that direction. Transportation does an amazing job and each year. So, and they get asked a lot of each one of these programs, you know, gets asked to do an awful lot and often on short notice. So good work that we get to do. And I was glad we got to see some of that this morning. So
We learned this morning that it's the arm on the stop sign.
Mhm.
That there's like an average of 15, 20 a week that people just blow through.
yeah, they on the flashing red lights on a school bus.
And once a year on one certain day, they
May 1st.
May 1st, they do a whole count of it. And last year it was 56 on that day.
56 people.
People just blow through the stop sign or
Flashing
the,
red lights.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
that was shocking.
yeah,
The big number.
it is. So,
That went through the whole room.
yeah.
I mean, I think that's shocking. I just thought everybody followed the rules. So strange.
Wanted to make you aware, I don't usually talk about athletics, but I wanted to make you aware of a couple things coming up. First of all, if you can get to, well, any sporting event is a great sporting event, but the girls' basketball team is once again on fire. I think they're ranked number 5 or 6 in the state, so you want to catch them while they've got a home game. And February 4th, we've got a friendly competition for all the schools to come out to the boys' basketball game against Roseburg. Wear their staff shirts, and they're gonna lead some cheers at halftime, and the school that does it best is gonna get a $600 bonus into their supply fund. Second place will get $300, and I think third place is gonna buy pizza. So there's not a lot you can do for $100.
What was
but
that date?
February 4th. So we'll be at Peter Newman Gym, boys playing Roseburg. So, all right. Those are kind of things that are going on in the district. And I did want to say this about Tara and the power issue. It's real because we made some pancakes and some scrambled eggs and some sausage.
Took a little longer than it should have.
We were popping a fuse every single moment. We're running giant extension cords across the gym trying to find a or the cafeteria, trying to find a place to plug in just to do the little electric grills. So which
It had nothing to do with the operators.
no. Operators are terrific. So.
Excellent.
Tara let you play with her kitchen?
No.
No, they had to bring their
We brought her home.
And what was this for?
We were just making pancakes for the custodial teams and office managers one day. So, yeah.
I used a barbecue.
Yep.
Bring your own
The bacon
stone.
was ready.
Yeah.
Well, and
Smart.
that is the most important.
There you go.
Excellent. Okay. 7.0 board reports and special concerns.
I'll just mention that I'm missing Lois McMillan's presentation at the library on civics, and you know, I just wish I could be in her class every semester.
Yeah. Was that a
It's
district?
so great, but I went to last week's and came home with a reading list this long on virtues and the pursuit of happiness and duties and obligations, and she asked the kind of standing room only audience, you know, to come up with books that should also be on the list, and I, you know, forgot because I hadn't really started it yet. My Rotary Club is reading this book, On Freedom by Timothy Snyder. And one of the takeaways that I got from this was there's two ways, well, at least two ways of looking at freedom. You can look at freedom as from something or freedom to do something. And that, I thought, that fits into how I want to think about that. I want the freedom to do something. I think as a board member, I like to get rid of obstacles and give more opportunities. And so the freedom to take a particular or to read a particular book is important to me. So I thought I'd share that.
Joe?
Yeah, the measure of success in school is not in the credentials or sometimes even the statistics. It's the quality of the young people that come out. It's what's the character, what's the ability, what's the gifts that they've taken advantage of when they in the school, when they as they go through preparation and when they leave. And I had the opportunity again this year to interview about 30 kids through the AVID program. And these are just kids. They're not hand-picked kids. These are just kids. And they were spectacular. Every single one of them. There wasn't a child that came through an interview with me, and it was a lot of interviews, that I could say, I wouldn't want to be around that kid, or that kid probably isn't going to make it in life, or whatever the case may be. Every single student that came to me came in with some nervousness on the part of some, but confidence. They were articulate. They never hesitated in answering the questions. They were honest, some of them to a fault. But again, it's a measure of what you guys do and what your faculty does with these kids. They were spectacular. I went home and told my wife, I said, these kids are as good in terms of quality of any kids I ever worked with. They were spectacular. And that comes through 40 years of experience. They were great. Terrific.
Anybody else?
They're the measurement of your success.
Good? Yeah. Sticky.
So I was going to bring out my hope presentation again, but since I did it back in August of 23, I figured you guys didn't need to see that again. But that was the kind of the short version of the hope was imagining the future, time traveling, and then coming back to the present, figuring out how to get to the future. And today we're talking about DARE, and they were talking about the future for the kids, and AVID is certainly doing similar kinds of things, helping them to see the future, bring them back to the present, how they can get there. But you're not supposed to use the word but. So he's thinking about mental health issues. And so this is really just a question, and it has to do with some of the literature and reading that we have the kids do in middle school and high school. I guess I'm asking that at some point in the future, you can tell me how hopeful that reading is, as opposed to being dark. Because I remember I don't remember, somewhere in there in my educational experience, I got the Edgar Allan Poe treatment. I still remember that, pretty dark. But of course, everything was bright and sunny back then. So I don't know, maybe with the mental health stuff we have going on now, might be a good time to have sunnier literature in the classes. But like I said, I don't really know what we're doing. So maybe we could get some information back on that.
So what I hear, Gary, that you're saying is they listened in 2023 and we've implemented some hope.
We
And time
definitely have
travel.
some hope in time travel.
Okay,
Cassie, I want to say one
Yeah.
more thing too. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I appreciate this very much, certainly as a board member. Direction is really important in terms of thinking future. And it's neat to see, and I saw it this morning at the budget meeting, when Tommy got up and he did his presentation, it was all based on the strategic plan. And it's neat to be able to see a strategic plan being used effectively to present with, to refer to say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're supporting. And I really appreciate seeing that and seeing the mission being exposed so regularly now. Both are just really good stuff.
we were handing out candy canes right before Christmas.
Yeah.
And Vanessa and I walked into a class and the teacher was like, oh, we've been waiting for Mr. Sweeney, but you guys, and we want to do this. And they recited the whole thing for us in unison, the whole class. She was like, and back, yeah, they turned away from it so they couldn't see it, but they were so excited to share that with us.
Yeah,
Yeah, the kids were, so go ahead.
I know it's getting late, so I'll be real quick, but I just want to say thank you to the district office and for the administration for kind of taking to heart policies that the board has implemented, but that also that a lot of you have had involvement in. So one of those in particular was the parents' rights policy that was updated recently, kind of modified, and a lot of time went into that. And so some of the language from the parents' rights policy was directly in a recent Parent Square post, I guess, from Alicia. So thank you for that. So anyways, relative to the Youth Truth Survey, it specifically gives parents information. So as far as transparency and parents' rights, well done. And I appreciate that. There's a lot of policies and we always follow all the policies. I know that, but thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Action items, 8.1. Approval of interagency agreements.
Any questions on those? I sent you an email about them.
No, we take them. All right, start taking motions.
Member Schmidt moves that we approve action item 8.1.
0.1 through 4.
0.1 through 0.4.
Member Dibdall seconds.
Having a second, is there any discussion? Tanya?
Member Smith?
Yes.
Dibdall?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Yes. 8.2, second reading of new reviewed and or revised policies.
A reminder that 8.2.4 has been tabled.
Your turn, Debbie.
Member Brownell moves that we approve the second reading of new and reviewed and revised policies. GBNAB, JECA, JHCD, GCBDC /GDBDC.
Member Schmidt seconds.
Having a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, Tanya?
Member Smith?
Yes.
Dibdall?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Member Wilk?
Yes. 8.3, approval of new budget committee member Erin Smith Taya. We got to meet her this morning.
Member Schmidt moves that we approve Erin Smith Mateja as a member of the budget committee.
Member Brownell second.
Having a second, is there any discussion? This is your chance. Excellent. Tanya?
Member Smith?
Yes.
Dibdall?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Brownell?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Yes. 8.4, approval of plan course statements.
I'll do it.
Go.
I do have.
You don't want to do it? Member Smith motions to approve plan course statements 8.4.1 through 8.6. 9.4.10.
Member Schmidt seconds.
Having a second, is there any discussion?
Chad has something to say.
I do, yeah, I'm trying to get ahead of myself. there. Joe highlighted it earlier, so writing 122, I think is the full course name. I just do want to make sure that that book that is in the packet that we received today is not the book that we're going to be going forward with. I have similar concerns to what he was expressing, and I think we'll have significant concerns from parents.
I should have commented, and I apologize, I told you that parent advisory council voted. There was a number of, at least 4 of the parent advisory council members expressed the same concern, which is why we quickly kind of called RCC and why we're working on it. We will bring you the title of the book that will be used.
And I could have asked earlier, but we kind of sped through. Is that we're teaching that stuff, but we're getting credit from RCC is the way that course works? Okay.
And we have to be aligned with their course syllabus and course design. This one allows us the flexibility to use different materials, which is a good thing.
Good partnership. Okay. Tanya?
Member Smith?
Yes.
Member Nicole?
Yes.
Member Schmidt?
Yes.
Member Brownell?
Yes.
Member Richardson?
Yes.
Yes. All right, 9.0, future meeting dates. And 10.0 adjourn.